Because the Bible said, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice.
People rejoice.
But when you look at Romans 13 in its context, Romans 13 says the righteous should not fear government. The evil should. But right now, because we voted in all the rotten trees, now the righteous gotta fear government and the evil don't.
Well, it is Thursday afternoon. Welcome, everybody. It is the People Over the Party show, and I am your host, Dr. David D. King, and the next governor of the state of Wisconsin. I am excited to be with each and every one of you on this afternoon, and I know without a shadow of doubt that we're going to have one of those days when you have two ninjas on the show. You're always going to have a interesting day. So, and we're going to talk a lot about stuff that's going on that's dealing with the Constitution. And so who's better to be on the show with me when we're talking about the Constitution than the Constitution herself, the constitutional queen, the lady that I met. And when I met her, I was scared, not because I was in a white neighborhood, but because she questioned me on understanding, do I know what I'm talking about when it comes to the Constitution and what are we? We are not a democracy, and I repeat, we are not a democracy. We are a Constitution republic. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm being nice today because I could say a lot of different things, and they're backstage. If y'all could see them right now, they'd be like, uh-oh, what is he going to say now? So I'm going to be nice and just bring on the constitutional queen, Sarah.
Good afternoon.
See, y'all didn't know what to expect, huh?
Oh, I never do, but that's okay. I'm ready for it.
And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring in the other I call them Thelma and Louise, y'all, when they get together, because you never know what's getting ready to happen. And I call her. I changed her name yesterday, y'all, and they said, "Well, who you gonna have on?" I said, "I got two queens. One is a constitutional queen, and one is a PMA queen. So she is now known as PMA Queen." And I'm gonna be nice. I could call her assassin. I could tell her she would chew you up and spit you out and put you on her trophy case. I mean, I could say a lot of things about this woman. But we're gonna be nice today and bring in Amber.
I don't know which is better, Thelma and Louise or Lucy and Ethel.
Yeah, I'm still going for Dr. King's Angels, but we'll
Hey, I like that too, Dr. King Angel. But we could go Lucy and Ethel. But here's the thing. You got to figure out.
You got the red hair.
You got to figure out which one of y'all.
That makes me Ethel.
Because I don't know if Jake want to be Fred I don't know if Jake want to be Fred or Ricky. So I'm not.
Lucy.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know which one he might want to be because he'd be like, Lucy, you done it again. So
That's not usually my husband's response. My husband's response is usually like, "When you gonna do it again?"
I actually had to show last weekend my son. I had to show him a clip of Lucy whining, because he was trying to pull that same thing too. When he didn't want to do something, I told him, "Okay, y'all, he's 10. Okay,
Yeah.
so he needed to know what he sounded like."
Mm-hmm.
And so that now, of course, he thinks it's funny. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
"Okay, Lucy."
That's fun.
Uh,
Oh man.
so
never a dull moment.
never a dumb moment. Speaking of dull moments,
Uh-oh. Here we go.
I had a phone call. I didn't want to tell y'all until y'all got online.
Oh no.
I didn't want to tell y'all backstage, but I wanted to tell y'all while y'all was online because of the fact that I think it would be more fun.
Entertaining for you.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Well,
We know why he actually has this on his show.
actually, it's going to be entertaining for all of us.
Mm.
You know, I always have this line, and it says, "Your biggest mistake is when you underestimate me," right?
Mm-hmm.
So I received a phone call. Can you guess who called me?
Maybe one of our candidates for governor.
Maybe you're absolutely right.
Ha! Got it in one.
But can you tell me which one?
Was it a R or a D?
That's too easy if I give you the. That'll be too easy.
My guess is R. I'll bite.
All right.
I'm going to go with somebody whose initials are TT.
Yes. TT called me, and I was a little, how should I say? I'm not going to say upset, but I felt a little disrespected.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you why. Now, the man called me knowing I'm running for governor. But he tried to act like he didn't know I was running for governor.
Okay, you're not completely unknown in this country.
So he called me up. And
I mean, a Steelers fan running for governor, that's got to be a thing.
So he calls
This is
me.
blasphemous to me.
Sorry, I'll be quiet now.
Okay, so he called you, pretending he didn't know that you were running. Okay, we established that.
I'll deal with y'all two later. But anyway, so he calls up, and I'm listening, and I was like, "How you doing?" He was like, "I'm doing fine," and he was like, "Everything's going good." And I said, "Okay." He says, "Oh, I got great news 2 weeks ago," and I said, "You did?" He said, "Yes, Trump endorsed me for governor," and I was like, "Okay, nice, I guess."
Congratulations.
And I said, "And I saw your partner run out, no primary." He said, "Yes, now I can focus on other things." And I was like, "Okay." And then I said, well, we kicked off our campaign on January 9th. It was really beautiful. I mean, we had people from across the state. I had people in the room that loved Trump, people in the room that hated Trump, but they was all together on one accord. Mm-hmm. And he was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And then I said, "Do you think another Republican is going to jump in the race?" He was like, "Oh, no, I don't think they would jump in the race because I already got Trump's endorsement and I don't raise more money than they did." And then I said, oh, yeah, but by the way, you guys spent $130 million in the last two governor races and lost.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah. And then he was like, and what you said your campaign kickoff, what are you running for? And I said, oh, I'm running for governor as an independent. He says, oh. And then he says, so do you think you're going to sway votes from the Republican? I said, yeah. And I'm going to sway some from the Democrats. And he was like, oh. I said, it's two Goliaths versus a David. I'm going to have fun with this.
Sorry.
And so,
and the first rock was thrown.
you know it. And I'm sitting there. You know what the reason I said I felt a little disrespected? I'd rather for him to call me and say, hey, David, you know, I know you're running for governor, but, you know, I got Trump's endorsement. Why don't you join the team? Mm-hmm. We'll move all the other lieutenant governor candidates out the way, and we can go ahead and, you know, I would have had a little more respect for him if he would have came that route.
Yeah.
But to come stupid and to just, I don't know, was he trying to brag or
the only guarantee I think we can have with politicians is that there's always some like backhanded goal, some intention behind however they're choosing to act.
Yep.
So I mean, I would venture to guess it was intentional.
Oh, I know it was intentional.
Yeah. Basically telling you, oh, see, I don't even know you're in this race, so you're not even worth fighting against. Like that's basically the message you get.
But get his name in your mouth to your audience.
Yeah. No, but see here, it wasn't that. Here's what it was. For one, I love playing chess. Mm-hmm. So when I play chess, I give you my queen on purpose. Mm-hmm. So that way you will think I'm stupid. But he called the individual and asked the individual to call me to see if he could have my phone number. So, number one, you're going to call somebody to ask them to check to see if you can. And I told him, yeah, give him my number. Yeah. I want to see what he up anyway. But I also wanted him to know, bro, man, I'm not a black man. I'm a dark-skinned American. Mm-hmm. I'm a Black Rose Regiment. Yeah. And I'm coming. Yeah. You might as well get that in your head. I'm coming. Yeah. And anytime, I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican, when you have a race and nobody else is in that race, I mean, Josh could have made it more convincing after he got signatures. Not before you go get your signatures. Yeah. And then you've been traveling the state and then all of a sudden you dropped out. Yeah. I mean, that didn't make sense. Unless he could have did like Whitman did and dropped out of the governor race and jumped in the lieutenant governor race. Yeah. Yeah. You know, so this man calls me up and y'all, when we off air, I'm gonna let y'all listen to something, but yeah, so I'm sitting there like, okay, now he really think I'm stupid. You just ticked me off now. So now you gotta, I got all these months to show people that you never was there for them. You done opened that floodgate. Yeah. And now I'm coming. I don't mind fighting two Goliaths because I do got two rocks, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, yes. So we get a phone call from him. The other side is even more interesting. I was asked from the other side was told that we have too many blacks in the race for governor.
Not diverse enough, right?
And I'm sitting there like, I keep telling y'all, I'm not black. I'm a dark-skinned American.
They elected a white man, an old white man, for governor last round. So give me a break here.
And so I'm sitting there and I understand why we're in the condition that we're in, because now we're going to go to deal with. I understand why we're in the condition that we're in, right? We have a constitution, which means we have a contract.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So having a contract, when can we now make a law against the contract that we already have?
Yeah, and I would like to kind of not push back, but just like expound on that for just a minute, because the founding fathers actually believed that this was a covenant, and that's even bigger than a contract. Like, think of the covenants in the scripture. This was like, how many times did they say, that this was between God and man, between God and a nation, between whatever the case may be, right? This was a huge thing. This was a vow that this was going to not just be an experiment, but a success, because we were going to have Almighty God basically signing the contract with us, the covenant with us, right? And so we have the founders who were, their language was very covenantal. Their whole view of what that was supposed to look like, how they encouraged the next generations. I remember, was it John Adams or one of the other, I'm trying to remember which founding father it was, at the end of his life was kind of asked, like, what do you see as happening in America? What things have changed. All of the founders are kind of dying off and everything. And he's like, we're basically leaving it to the next generation to see what they're going to do with the gift we gave them. We handed them a gift. We handed them a covenant. We handed them something so big and so new. It's up to you guys to continue it. It's up to future generations to continue it. And Thomas Jefferson, the how did he put it? The blood of the patriots, right? The tree of liberty has to be watered with the blood of the patriots every generation or so, right? Every one of the founders understood this to be, in a sense, a blood covenant. Like, liberty is not in our blood in that it's handed down from generation to generation, but it is something that our blood can seal every generation. Mm-hmm. Whether it's through living our lives out in freedom and showing other people how to do so, or actively working to continue to protect those freedoms and liberties. So,
well, and wasn't it? I can't believe I'm actually pulling something out. Wasn't it John Adams to Abigail Adams? He had said something to the effect of, they better not waste everything we did for them, yes, like posterity for future generations.
Yep.
That like essentially like, and I'm putting my own spin on what I remember the essence of it. Okay, so this is not his words, this is my words and how I interpret it. Like, my ghost would regret having fought this hard if they wasted in the future, kind of thing.
And don't you think that
this was, let's see if I can find some of these.
While you're looking for that, but don't you think that that's what's happening right now? I was talking to somebody this morning. I said, the problem we have in our nation is that the churches, the pastors, have stopped preaching Jesus and started preaching Democrat and Republican. When you look at their agenda, you know, their agenda is not Christ. Their agenda is not to be there for, one another, love one another, understanding that my rights stop when I cross over into your lane. We're not preaching that right now. We're preaching from the church division, separation, hatred.
Or even 15 years ago when I was in college, or almost.
You're telling your age.
I know. Whether it was Crew or the churches in the college town, all they taught was the most surface level salvation message ever. Rinse, repeat. As if that's all that'll magically like. It's like, that's step one.
I mean, we were helping to support some friends of ours from college in one of the college ministries, and the newsletters we got, it was all very generic information, very generic messaging. It was, you know, the spiritual hunger of the hunger for God, the hunger for truth, the hunger for something other than the meaningless prattle of these experts who tell them that they're balls of meat floating in the cosmos, you know, like this is like, why am I not seeing this? And you're a missionary to one of the most vulnerable generations in America right now. And you can't even talk in solid, concrete terms.
And this is what I'm loving about the Christian community that I tend to be a part of now on social media is the last several weeks, especially certain things that have been revealed. I'm going to only say it that way. Take that for whatever event or whatever you want it to mean.
It could mean a lot of things.
Yeah, exactly. A lot happened last week.
Yeah.
But whatever you mean it to imply over the last several weeks, Christians and believers, I'm now saying, I now understand the God of the version of God that we see in the Old Testament. Yes, we know God is the same throughout, but like I now understand who God is in the Old Testament and why he had such like wrath against the behaviors of that time and the harm to, you know, certain demographics and children and not respecting, you know, the innocence of, you know,
future generations.
Like, people now are seeing how God pre-Jesus, you know, versus post-Jesus, this is the same person, and it's just that deep hurt that was showing through.
If you look at the language of Paul and the apostles in the epistles, right? I'm making a, what is that? Paul and the apostles and the epistles. Anyway, if you look at the language of that, they were harsh on people. You know, they confronted how many different people in the church going, you know, that guy that's like living with his mother in a not so motherly way, you know, like that is wrong. And the fact that you as a church are staying silent on it means your judgment is at hand. Like they were warning, in this generation, you're going to see the fall of everything that you ever held dear unless you choose to run to the Savior of the world, because he's the only one who can stand in mediation between you and God. And God's wrath God's wrath was still there in the New Testament. It was just in a different way of doing it. But he was coming down on the nation of Israel saying, this stuff you have been allowing, you've been excusing, you've been condoning, and I'm done with it. And the apostles were basically the New Testament prophets going, watch out, guys, it's coming. And hey, guess what? 70 AD, Jerusalem temple fell. So, you know, all of their pretensions, all of their belief system completely demolished, and not one stone was left upon another. So God was still a just God, and he was seeing what was going on and going, this is not okay, you know?
So then let me ask you this question. Do you think majority of the believers don't realize that we are in a spiritual battle right now?
I believe it's been very much watered down because we've done so, I hate to say this, good of a job of separating the sacred from the secular. We have we don't look at things happening in the political realm or in the education realm as a spiritual battle. No, I'm saying this in a general way. There are definitely people out there who have seen this and know this. Right. But in a general way, in the American church, we are seeing this separation of, okay, what I do in the pew on Sundays or on Wednesdays, whenever I meet for church, that's different from my job in the public sector. When I go home. Just kidding. Right. Like there's this, even if we don't even realize we're doing it, we are separating those things out. And nowhere in scriptures does it allow for that. Nowhere in the original founders' documents did it allow for the separation of sacred and secular. You wouldn't get a quote from John Adams saying the Constitution is only for a moral and religious and virtuous people. It is wholly inadequate to any other. Without that, because he understood human nature, it cannot be separated out, right? Like our soul, our spirit, our physical is all intertwined and interconnected. And all of those things can impact how the world works. And so, you know, we were talking earlier about these quotes. I found them. So John Adams was the one who said, "You will never know how much it has cost my generation to preserve your freedom. I hope you will make good use of it." And that was, he didn't say that in a nice way. He was saying that in a, I'm seeing what's happening and I don't like this, you know?
Right.
And I mean, Franklin said the same thing. He said, it's a republic if you can keep it, right? He was warning them. And then who was the other one? Jefferson. Give me a second. I'm going to find his quote. His quote was really good too. He says, "I predict future happiness for Americans if they can prevent the government from wasting the labors of the people under the pretense of taking care of them." Look
and
where we're at.
Here's something that supports exactly what you said, that the systems were never set up to create a separation between sacred and secular. For example, America's first, and this is from the Founders Bible.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, page 925. For example, America's first college, Harvard, was established in 1636, and its rules declared, "Let every student be plainly instructed and earnestly pressed to consider well the main end of his life and studies is to know God and Jesus Christ, which is eternal life," John 17:3, "and therefore to lay Christ in the bottom as the only foundation of all sound knowledge and learning. And seeing the Lord only giveth wisdom, let everyone seriously set himself by prayer in secret to seek it of him," Proverbs 2:3.
Yep.
"Everyone shall so exercise himself in reading the scriptures twice a day that he shall be ready to give such an account of his proficiency therein." Harvard College, you guys.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Even Thomas Jefferson's, was it William and Mary College? Which one did he found? Even his college, people say, "Oh, he was the one who founded the only secular college university to give more people opportunity." No. He still had chaplains. It was non-denominational. It was not secular. It was non-denominational, which was something that most of the colleges at that time had specific church denominations that they allowed to preach or to teach there.
right.
His was the one, he's like, "No, I'm opening it up to all of the church because the whole church needs to be involved in this, in the education of the mind, and the whole idea of diversity in unity. That's the whole purpose of a university." And what we have today is just a bunch of nut jobs spouting their own stupidity and giving a seal on a degree for people. You know, it's ridiculous.
Ungodly folks. And
Yes.
Robert Brown Elliott in the 1800s said this: "I am a slave to my Lord Jesus Christ and his principles, and I call no political party master."
Yes. Yeah. Here's Thomas Jefferson again. He's my favorite. I swear he is my favorite. I don't care what people say about him. He is my favorite founding father. He goes, "I have sworn upon the altar of God eternal hostility against every form of tyranny over the mind of man." Now, does that sound like covenantal language to you guys? Because it does to me. Like, these are founding fathers who knew the Bible inside and out. He could quote passages of scripture in 4 different languages, guys. Like this is not an uneducated person. He educated himself, and he found mentors and people to actually help, like, challenge him constantly. And then he did that to his nephews and to his family, challenging them to study the scriptures, to study to show themselves approved, right? Like, to question their faith so that they could stand firm on their foundation. Like, these founding fathers, we call them godless or at the least deists. Not even close, guys. They knew more about our scriptures than most atheists who claim to know about our scriptures today. So,
Do you know,
Or I would argue even than most people who graduate from seminary school.
yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
but do you know that if most people that go to church would really read their Bible and understand that God has called all of us to personal responsibility,
Yeah.
the way they vote would be totally different.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It would totally be different. I mean, I was just having conversations with my family because they were asking about what was going on with the pro-life movement, because one of my sisters got involved in the pro-life movement in her church, and she was so excited about it. And then she brought up something from, I believe it was Abby Johnson, who, if you don't know, she used to work as one of the head people in the organization in was it Texas, I believe. She was a Planned Parenthood advocate. She had multiple abortions herself, and she came out of that, and she says, absolutely not, never again. And we are going to make abortion unthinkable, because she calls it for what it is. It is the murder of the unborn child. It is the murder of a human life. So anyway, she's diving into this stuff. So do you remember when Trump and his people, they got rid of the Roe v. Wade, right? They rescinded it. And they celebrated this all over. We're going to stop funding Planned Parenthood and everything. Well, in this last big bill that he accepted, guess what happened? They refunded Planned Parenthood.
Of course.
Millions and millions of dollars are going back into Planned Parenthood as like a reimbursement for, prior years. So guess what we're doing? The pro-life movement knew about this. Multiple pro-life organizations knew about this. And if they mentioned something, it was a tiny little, like, forgettable blurb in their newsletter. Nobody's talking about it. Why? We're still calling him the most pro-life president? Now, and here's where you're going to get, I promise you, I am not going to stand down when people on my side of the aisle, right, are doing things that I know are wrong. This guy, I voted for him, and I am still going to call him out. This is not acceptable. Here's the thing. We had a whole bunch of pro-life Republicans who were like, oh, we got rid of Roe v. Wade. We've saved so many thousands of babies' lives. We didn't. We made it harder to count the lives that were being murdered because we just put the abortion industry into a different way of doing it, right? We have tons more people taking mail-in abortion pills, right? How do we count those? We're not saving lives by just taking it out of our minds and giving them other opportunities.
Here's the core thing it goes back to, and I know I read it somewhere in the Founders Bible early on. The founders vehemently opposed funding special interests, anything, whether it was national disaster.
They hated lobbyists.
Because there was like a fire or a flood or something, and they were asking for some financial support to rebuild. And whoever was in leadership at the time vehemently opposed it, because if I give to one, then I have to give to another. And then
then it's no longer the general welfare. And here's the thing, it also takes the responsibility off of the states and the local communities to fight for their own. It sounds horrible, because obviously we've had some tragic, natural disasters and things that have happened. And I'm not asking for government not to do anything. What I'm asking for them is to stay within their natural boundaries, their natural enumerated powers, and allow the states and the communities to take care of their own. If we stop taxing up the wazoo for everything that the government is not supposed to be doing, we would have these funds in our own hometowns. We'd have these funds. We'd have, rainy day funds for, like, did we not, before the government stepped in, did we not know that Louisiana floods on occasion? Like, did we not know hurricanes hit the coast? Like, no, of course we didn't. We knew that stuff. So why is it that suddenly only the government can come in and save us?
Well,
because we have amazing people who are right on the ground from Christian organizations
that are literally being prevented to.
And they're prevented.
You got to understand, the government is trying to take God's place.
Yes.
He's trying. It's trying to take the place of God to say, I'm your provider.
Right, exactly.
I'm your Jehovah Jireh.
1984.
And we keep begging for it. This is the thing that bothers me so much.
Wait a minute. Let me tell y'all. I got to tell y'all this. This was one of the saddest things I've seen. During COVID, now, y'all know I didn't shut down. And some churches shut down, and they was on the phone with, at the time, Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes. And I was on that call, and I heard them asking him, so are y'all going to give us some money? We have to pay this, and we have
to pay the water bill and the lights.
Right, and I'm sitting there like, dude, you switching gods and don't even realize it.
Yeah.
And I think that is the mindset where government is supposed to do everything. And when you depend on the government to do everything, then what you're doing is you're enlarging the mouth of government.
Yeah.
And as you open your mouth to allow the government to have more and more of your freedom to make decisions for you, then now you got the biggest drug in the state of Wisconsin right now, and it's not fentanyl, it's dependency on the government.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
And this is why we got to stop the bleeding.
Yep.
And remind people that you have a personal responsibility.
Yes. And now, Rustin, I'm going to answer your question. No, you don't own that home because the state can take it whenever they choose to. They can charge you. They do charge you rent and taxes, even though it's completely unconstitutional. And so, yeah, you're basically renting from the government as long. And this isn't. I am not telling people to stop buying homes, to stop owning property, because there is still that God-given right to own our own things and to protect and defend what He's given us to steward. We need to start fighting back against these long-held beliefs that this is something that the government can do because we've given them permission to do it. We need to stop asking permission. We need to start taking those jurisdictions back, those strongholds back from them.
So that eminent domain that they just try to use. But you know, I think, again, if we do not educate, if we do not tell people what can and cannot happen, oh yes, then it's going to always be like this. But we the one who gave the government that power because we forgot that the power is in our hands. It belongs to us.
And here's the other thing is the government, they have the entire copy of the Constitution, the originals, the drafts, all of that, and the one that we accepted. They could read it in its entirety. And this is going back to the whole idea of, if you take things out of context, you can make it say anything you want. Right. So they talk about eminent domain as we can take your stuff whenever we want, however we want, because that's it. That's our authority. No, if you look at Section 8 of Article 1, it talks about exactly what Congress can do, exactly what enumerated powers they have. And if you're not taking people's property for a specific reason enumerated in those powers, if it has nothing to do with those powers, then you have no right over that person's property, and you're supposed to compensate them accordingly. So you have to take it as a whole. You cannot just take that one part and eminent domain, we got it, right? That is part of a larger picture, and you got to read it in its original intent in order to understand what the founding fathers were doing.
You know,
they had the British government taking people's property for whatever reason, whatever cause. You really think they're going to put something like that in the Constitution and say, "Oh, yep, we still have that power"? No, they were fighting against that.
That's right.
So they were literally stating there's going to be specific reasons why this might still be needed. But we're going to compensate accordingly, and we're not going to leave these people high and dry, and we're going to give them warning, and we're going to ask, and we're going to make sure that we go about this above board. We're not just going to jump in and take their stuff, and then, I guess you guys just have to deal with it, right?
Like, I watched that happen. In my studies, I watched that happen in a lot of the Black communities. What they did, the state came in and just automatically put a highway going right through their stuff, and no compensation, no nothing.
And was it really for the general welfare if the people living in that community didn't really need it or couldn't make use of it?
Yeah. Well,
just like them trying to put in those high power whatever power lines through parts of Jackson County.
Yep.
And they're trying to run it all the way straight through town when there's sand mines just like a mile north of town.
Yep.
That affect virtually no residents.
Yep, exactly.
Well, that's why they're doing it, because they're trying to get rid of the residents.
Yeah.
Kill them off with cancer. Oh, wait, did I say that part out loud?
Oh, no. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And so they can, unfortunately, because the people do not understand their original sources, their original documents, the original laws and authorities that were given, we don't know what we can tell the government to where we can tell the government to stuff it, basically. And I'm being kind. I've got bigger words.
That was so nice. I don't even know where.
I am trying to be civilized and not go down to their level, okay?
can the real Sarah come back? Because that was too nice. It was too nice. So let me ask you guys this question. I put a post up the other day because it kind of bothered me. Our children, majority cannot read, cannot write, cannot do math, but they're teaching them how to walk out and protest.
Yep, they're teaching them how to donate their organs.
Yes, and they're doing it where none of this stuff that's going on is happening to them.
Yeah,
and I'm sitting.
They've made themselves exempt from the very laws that they're putting us under, and
well, and what I want to know is what in the school board policy, in the school policies, allows them to take them on an impromptu field trip like that.
Oh, wait.
School resources.
Wait.
Nothing.
Wait now, because I got you on that one. You ready for it? Are you really ready for this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So what we're being told is not the teachers, the students just doing it on their own.
Yeah. Oh, even better. Because of truancy laws, then children cannot check themselves out of school.
Yeah, there you go.
And I'm sitting there, I'm like, wait a minute, you literally gonna say the teachers don't have nothing to do with this, but they're walking out of school.
I believe a principal was just put on administrative leave because his students were out there protesting, and guess what? The teachers were there too.
Yes. So I'm sitting there like, do y'all think the rest of the world is stupid?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
yes,
they
do.
If a parent doesn't send their kids to school, the police and child protection is at their house.
Yep.
And so you're going to tell me the children just decided to walk out. Nobody can stop them.
Yeah.
And they
create for me, but not for me.
Here's a great thing. I've heard this as a homeschool mom. I have heard this. How can you teach your kids? You weren't trained to teach your kids. We have experts in the public school system who teach kids, and they've been trained to do that. How can you possibly?
We've been trained to read a curriculum that was spoon-fed to them without any critical thinking or reasoning skills, any consideration as to how old or antiquated that content is, and the source of that content. Oh, you want to talk about that? How about the source of your content coming from McGraw-Hill and all the stuff that's coming out about that right now? You really want your kids being taught by that stuff, or have their school pictures taken? So
you're telling me parents that graduated and some that went to college is not qualified to teach their children reading, writing, and arithmetic.
But we can put the kids back into that same institution that made me unqualified. Yeah, isn't that great? I love it.
Fortunately,
I was homeschooled too, so I didn't have to deal with that unqualification.
So do you see how if we was not common sense, what's the word? If we didn't have a common sense foundation, we would be just lost. Just like you said with the abortion, right? The president signed it, right?
Yep.
The Republicans passed it, right?
Yep.
But they say they pro-life, right?
Yep.
Help me understand. I'm trying to break it down to my third grade level because I'm trying to understand this.
I think you're a little higher than third grade, Dr. King.
Well, you know what's really sad about all of this and the assumptions of ignorance of those who don't have the perceived qualifications in any of this, whether it's, homeschooling kids or medicine or whatever. I just listened to a podcast. I think he's touted as a sleep doctor. He is one of 110 people who have taken the medical exams. I can't think of what they're called, and not been to medical school and passed. So you can't tell me you have to go to their institutions and pass their tests when homeschoolers, by and large, surpass their same age public educated peers.
Yep. And
that the Ivy League colleges all prefer home educated children to their public educated peers.
Oh, but we don't hear that in the mainstream. We hear, did you hear about that one homeschool family that locked their children in their basement? And yeah, that happens. It also happens in public school families as well.
Oh, please.
A lot of public school kids get slipped through the cracks because their teachers have abused them, have assaulted them, or whatever the case may be, and nobody does anything about that. But goodness me, if one homeschool family is found guilty of something, it must be everybody who homeschools.
But you know, in Milwaukee, there was a school that was putting kids in the boiler room. They was calling it the dungeon. Torturing it. So now I need y'all help on one more thing, because you know y'all got to bring it down to my 3rd grade level, because I'm trying to get this.
And we gotta do this in like 7 minutes.
Yeah,
okay. we can do it in 7 minutes. But here's the thing. In Wisconsin right now, in Madison, who controls? Because you know I might be slow. Who controls the House in Madison?
Well, we're told it's the Republicans.
Okay, so how is this bill even having a fight where they want to take away your personal conviction rights? How is that even up for a discussion?
Yeah. Because we don't know our history. And we keep electing people who are ignorant of our history, or they might have a small part of it, you know, or they take something out of context and, oh, I'm going to be an advocate for this. But they don't realize that the very thing that they're advocating for is actually causing more tyranny and less freedom. And
I'm a one what do people call it? Like a one cause voter. Is that the name of it?
One issue?
One issue, yeah. I'm a one issue voter. My issue is following the Constitution.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what it should be. Is this constitutional or not? The end.
But you know the answer to that.
Oh, I know.
It's not constitutional because they don't read the Constitution. Because if they would have read the Wisconsin Constitution, then they would have known that the Wisconsin Constitution recognized marriage between a man and a woman. And they wouldn't have made nothing else. If they read the Wisconsin Constitution, they would not put another flag on our state capitol.
Yeah, exactly. Unless they wanted a Christian flag. I might be okay with that one.
So when we're talking about this, you know, we have to look at it and say, wait a minute, where's the common sense in this? You know, because they don't know. They tell us they for us. And I can't stand when people tell me they for me, and then you're doing the opposite. You're doing the, I'm for the Constitution, but I want you to sign in and let everybody know you carry a gun. If you stand for the Constitution, we shouldn't even have concealed carry.
Yep. Like Granny Bibbins says, make sense common again.
Yeah, make sense again.
Or like they used to say, kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
Or hard, or super simple if you're.
So I know we gotta go because you got another one. So since you the one got another one, I'm gonna let you go first. And I hope you're ready. Are you ready? That's the question.
Sure.
Oh, look at oh.
That's 2 weeks in a row he did that.
Yeah. I'm just sitting there looking crazy.
Oh, no, I'm not ready. Go ahead.
Without rereading that whole thing from Harvard School again, I want to revisit that as kind of my final thoughts. As Sarah iterated in the beginning of this was never supposed to be separated from a moral, from a integrity perspective. It was always supposed to be intertwined. People of moral virtue who knew how to follow the constitutions and what they actually said and what they actually meant, and not twisting it for personal gain or for power or manipulation. But the only way that they could be moral and virtuous, that's the word, virtuous, is if they knew all of their constitutions and they knew their history. So that's my invitation today is make dedicated time every single day to study, even if it's 5 minutes. I mean, I love to hear if you're doing it for 30 minutes to an hour, but start out with 5 minutes. Read one article, read one amendment in the Bill of Rights. Start somewhere, but start.
Oh, wow. Okay, start.
All right, I'm going to quote my favorite founding father. He says, and I'll break it down because it's a really fun quote. It says, if there be any among us who would wish to dissolve this union or to change its republican form, let them stand undisturbed as monuments of the safety with which error of opinion may be tolerated, where reason is left free to combat it. So I love this quote because he was basically saying, those people who are stupid and want to actually change our government into something that is tyranny and all of that stuff. He's saying, just let them stand and combat it with reason, combat it with education, combat it with logic and common sense, which is exactly what we were talking about. We don't have to cancel people. We don't have to shut them down or discriminate against them or make this a big thing where we're saying, oh, certain people shouldn't talk and can't talk. I've heard people talk about how celebrities shouldn't have opinions on politics. I don't really care what opinions they have. What I do care about is the people who have reason and common sense, combating them in the public forum and making that a point so that their arguments, their words are heard just as strongly and if not more loudly than these ideas that have no basis in logic and reason, no basis in truth. So we always combat bad ideas with good ones. And if we bring that dialogue to the table, if we continue to educate ourselves, if we continue to learn and grow and develop our common sense and our logic and discernment, we actually are the loudest voice. We just have to use it. So that's my thing for the week.
Well, I got one too. Mine's is coming from Frederick Douglass himself. And he says this: if the Negro cannot stand on his own legs, let him fall also. All I ask is give him a chance to stand on his own legs. Let him alone. Your interference is doing him positive injuries. He's talking about having personal responsibility. Don't get in the way, because when government gives us, they're injuring us.
Yep.
But if they move out the way and allow us to stand on our own, allow us to go after whatever we desire to go after, allow us to be able to be critical thinkers, allow us to dream again, to be whatever we want to be, not what you want to create us to be. And so I love Frederick Douglass because here it is, you have and this Black History Month, so I'll just throw this in there for Black History. You have a man that was a slave, and while he was a slave, he had his own business. He was taxed by his slave master, so that was paying taxes. But he beat his slave master for 2 hours in a physical fight. But then when he became friends with little white kids, so they became his teacher and taught him how to read. And then he became an advisor to fight presidents. So he got a chance to stand on his own, to be his own. And the last thing I liked about him was this: after his first wife died, who was a Black woman, he married a white woman and nobody touched him in the 1800s. Now, that's something to be married to a white woman in the 1800s and they don't swing you from a tree. So that's my rant.
He's a good man.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you guys next Thursday. Same time, same crazy channel. We love y'all. God bless.
Because the Bible said, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice.
People rejoice.